Okay, everyone, it is the GOC. I'm chairing in Councillor Santori's absence. It's 4 o'clock, so we're ready to start. So just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded and it will be published to the city's YouTube site. Calling the meeting to order at 4 p.m. The first item is Public Works, closed circuit video system upgrade, Trail Memorial Center. And Brian, thank you for joining us today. And I'm just going to turn the floor over to you to talk about this item.
Thank you, Mayor Payson, and in this case, Chair Payson as well. Thank you all, councillors, for the opportunity to speak to this project. I'm here today just basically to present the staff report, as Mayor Payson has said, for the closed circuit video system upgrade, which pertains to the entire city. So we refer to it in the report as CCV, but closed circuit video, which was often before referred to as CCTV, surveillance cameras, to keep it fairly simple and generic. So this project was originally started in 2019, where the city went out to an outside contractor, brought them in to give us an overview of the system and some suggestions on upgrades. In addition to that, the project was approved in 2020 as a capital project, but it didn't go ahead based on some restraints that we had with COVID and some changes in the marketplace in the city of Trail. So in its essence, this is a multi-year project. This is year one, or I guess effectively year two of this project. The overall idea of the project is to replace old equipment throughout the city and give us some options for the addition of new equipment, but also to allow the system to be linked and remotely accessible, as well as to provide a certain level of self-diagnostics. We determined those couple of items to be of utmost importance to us, where we can be able to retrieve video footage remotely, would save a certain amount of staff time and expense with a contractor. And we've often had issues with the system being offline, and currently it does not self-report. So we don't know that until we go to retrieve footage, and then we see that it's not there. Additionally, this system would give us an opportunity to move away from what we would call early generation equipment and get us into a new equipment, higher end technology, which is essentially 4K. Better resolution, and it would also have some night vision capacity. Two things that were leading concerns of the staff sergeant at the RCMP, who I met with to see what their needs were to be a more effective system. This system largely is in place as a deterrent and a detection process for crime throughout the city and city properties, as well as on the street in the downtown core. So you have before you the staff recommendation for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions that you may have on this.
Okay, so the recommendation is that council approve the award of the CCV upgrade project at the Trail Memorial Center to Selkirk Security for $50,973.43, plus all applicable taxes, fees, and charges. Does anyone have any? Okay, Councillor Kashoni. Is someone going to second that? Councillor Butler, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on this?
Just a quick question of Brian. Brian, there's a huge difference between the two quotes that we received at $50,973 and 107. Are you comfortable that the scope of work that's being undertaken from Selkirk is consistent to what Relcom bid on? Or better yet, are you happy with what we're getting for $50,000 from Selkirk?
Thank you, Councillor Santori. I am, and effectively, and I just want, and I probably should have added this in. This has been probably one of the more technically challenging programs that I've ever worked on in terms of projects for myself personally. There is a absolute myriad of options. available for this type of equipment. And what we have, just to keep it very simple is you have something that Rawlcom suggested, which we would call basically a Cadillac system. And then we have a Toyota system on the other side. The system that Rawlcom has suggested has every manner of capacity, and to the point of where we could do facial recognition. We can do traffic patterns. We can follow a person through the entire city's downtown core. That being said, I truly don't believe that that's the level of system that the city requires to do what we want to do with our program. Though all the bells and whistles are great, I still think that we have to look for value. And I think that the system presented by Selkirk Security is of a good value and gives us what we need without overspending.
Thanks, Brian.
Any other questions on this matter?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, if any? Carried. Just before we proceed, Councillor Santori, just because you're feeling a bit under the weather, are you okay with me continuing to chair?
Yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, no, it's all good. All right. Next is 2.1, the contract award, the Trail Memorial Center roof replacement. Ms. Lucchini, go ahead. And
Thank you.
Brian, you can leave if you don't have to stay with us if you're done for today. You're more than welcome to stay though if you want, whatever serves you. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, Mayor Payson. Council will recall that in 2021, tenders were issued for 2 roof projects, one at the Trail Aquatic and Leisure Center and one at the Trail Memorial Center. Bids at the time that were received in 2021 were significantly higher than anticipated, and only the Telk roof project was funded in 2021, with the TMC project being delayed until this year. The city has also received a grant to offset the cost of renovating the old library space at the Trail Memorial Center, which includes roof replacement. The grant that was received is in the amount of $672,000 approximately, and of which $571,260 has been earmarked towards roof replacement. In response to the tender procedure, 3 bids were received in response to a request for quotations for the Trail Memorial Center roof project, with BF Roofing being the lowest bidder. BF Roofing was also awarded the Telk roof project in 2021. However, that project is not yet complete, mostly due to supply chain issues for the roofing contractor, as well as weather that was experienced last year. It will be important that BF Roofing is made clearly understood to them that the timelines must be strictly adhered to with respect to the Memorial Center, because if it's not completed with the project schedule, there would be operational impacts to the facility when ice making begins within the facility for next season. It is therefore recommended that the city award the contract for the Trail Memorial Center roof replacement project to BF Roofing at the base price of $962,066, plus applicable taxes, fees, and charges. And that the city, because we haven't gone through the capital budget process, that the city establish a 2022 capital budget of $1,093,000 plus applicable taxes for this project, with $571,260 of that being funded from grant monies received from the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure Stream, and the remaining $521,740 being funded from 2022 taxation.
Okay, do I have someone to make that motion?
So moved, Robert.
Councillor Kashoni, do I have
I'll
someone to
second it.
second that? Thank you, Councillor Gattafoni Robinson. Does anyone have any questions on this matter?
No.
Councillor Dobie, did you have your hand up? Go ahead, and you're on mute. Go ahead. No, you're on mute now.
Okay.
I have a question for Ms. Lucchini. Would you be able to tell us whether or not there'll be any, I guess the best way to put it is, if they cannot be completed on time and it's not due to supply chain, is there any repercussions on the amount?
Well, I wouldn't think that we would pay for full in project until completion.
Okay.
I think that risk is available for any project.
Okay.
But
If we couldn't get in with the ice making, would this not affect any of the programs that Rich Murphy has put in place for the community? And how much would it affect our smoke eaters if the ice isn't,
Well,
up to standard?
from what I understand, that concern from the Parks and Recreation Department, and in particular the Deputy Director, he feels confident that he can keep the project on task. We are awarding the contract for this project considerably sooner in the calendar year than what happened with the two projects last year. And it is felt that the contractor will be able to meet the project timelines.
Okay, so we don't usually ask for this on some projects, but because I find this one a particular concern, could we get a bit of an update after 3 or 4 months into the project as to how things are going?
Yes,
Okay.
that can be provided.
Okay. And what's the start date on this?
I would think that would be weather dependent.
Okay.
It's a fairly significant project, and this is a local contractor. I would think that this would be primarily the bulk of his work at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this matter?
Yep.
Okay, we've got someone to first and second. All in favor? Against, if any? Carried. Thank you. You ready, Ms. Lucchini? Got all your notes made there? Okay. Item 3.1, under General Governance and Finance, Trail Historical Society requests for Old Bridge designation. The recommendation before us is that the Trail Historical Society's request that the City of Trail officially designate the Old Trail Bridge as being historically significant be denied. Ms. Lucchini, I will turn it over to you and give you the floor. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. As you will see, the city is in receipt of a letter from the Trail Historical Society requesting that the city officially designate the Old Bridge as being historically significant. Those on council at the time will be quite aware of the history surrounding. We do have a couple members of council that were present when the structure was closed it was recommended that it be closed in 2010. It was officially closed in 2011. An engineering firm that specializes in bridge construction, Buckland and Taylor, they also provided the city with its annual maintenance of the structure, providing an opinion that the current capacity of the bridge piers to resist unusual loads is insufficient to meet current industry standards. Close-up inspection of the piers revealed significant deterioration, and they recommended that the bridge be closed to all public use. This decision was supported by the city's liability insurance, the Municipal Insurance Association. Following receipt of the opinion, because it was a hot topic within the community, the city undertook an exhaustive 6-month review by staff that included a public consultation process. The public consultation process consisted of open houses. We did a mail-out questionnaire where we received a very positive amount of responses to that questionnaire. And we also provided a dedicated email for people to provide their opinions. Excuse me. When comparing the significant cost to what would be necessary to rehabilitate and or replace the structure, the decision was made to permanently close it on May 24th, I believe, 2011. It was also the opinion of the professionals at that time that any rehabilitation of the structure could possibly only provide a very nominal, maybe 10 to 15 years of additional life, given that the structure would continue to erode and require continuous maintenance and upgrading. It was felt that that was not a wise use of public monies. Simply put, the structure was designed in construction in a period of time whereby construction methods, design, and bridge architecture are nowhere near what they are today. One only has to look at the photographs of the structure's underbelly to understand the significant work that would be required to rehabilitate the structure. In addition, the community now benefits from the Columbia River Skywalk that provides pedestrian cycling traffic across the Columbia River and also holds the regional sewer interceptor line. It was decided at the time if the old bridge was at all salvageable, there would have been no need to construct the skywalk at the considerable cost that it was in order to accommodate the interceptor line. For these reasons, it's being recommended that the Trail Historical Society's request be denied. It is not in the city's best interest to continue to debate the future of this structure to determine what is already known. This designation could also impact the city's ability to one day remove the structure, which is something that council has been planning the financial ability to do this for a few years now.
Okay, and open the floor to anyone who wants to make a motion, comments, questions. Councillor Doby first and Councillor Kashoni second.
Okay, well, I won't be supporting this motion right at this time. I've sat in on quite a few of the meetings and spoken to a few of the people that they have great enthusiasm for this project. And I just think out of respect for them coming forward and trying to do something good for trail, we should let them go through the steps themselves. And the result could well be the same, but I just think for us to give them a blatant no, I don't think it makes us look good when we have a group of citizens out there that are trying to do something for the goodness, not just of trail, but as they said, all of the province, because it is the oldest bridge in the province across the Columbia River. Now, there would have been somebody here today to speak to this issue. The two people mostly involved, one is in Vancouver and the other is very sick. He's been tested for COVID, and as of yesterday, I don't know if he got his results back. So I'd like to table this and put it on the agenda for our next meeting so that they have an opportunity to come to speak to the issue and they can hear from council directly.
I'll second that.
The tabling. Okay, I'll second it. Yeah, go ahead. Colleen did it. I'll
Okay,
speak
does
for two.
anyone?
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead,
speak.
Councillor
I think
Kashani.
the same thing. It's not going to be cost us any money. If in fact they can garner enough money to do something with that bridge, and let them go for it. I just don't think we should be cutting them off right now. Let's wait to see. I like to hear what the person says, and I like to see what exactly they're applying for. Thank you.
Any other comments on this matter?
So could that be please considered a motion that we stall this? for-
Yeah, that you put a tabling motion forward
Yes, thank you.
and Councillor Jones seconded a tabling motion. Okay, anyone else have any other comments? No, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried. Okay. Item 3.2, City of Trail RV Park camping rates.
Move it,
Ms.
recommend.
Lucchini? Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Ms. Lucchini, go ahead.
Thank you. City staff are now preparing for the opening of the RV park, which will happen on May 1st of this year. And as part of this, we have reviewed the nightly camping rates. Since the time of the last rate increase, 2 of the RV sites have been equipped with a sewer connection and are now fully serviced. We also did a comparison of rates charged at like facilities in the area, and the results are contained within the reporting before you. Although it is difficult to compare one campground to another, the city's RV park is a full-service park, providing fully serviced sites, partially serviced sites, washrooms, showers. We also provide free Wi-Fi, as well as a free Sani station. It is therefore recommended that camping rates at the City of Trail RV Park be set for this season. Tent sites at $25, partially serviced sites at $40 a night, and fully serviced sites at $45 a night. We are also recommending that the council policy as it pertains to long-term stays at the park reflect a rate reduction of 10% for long-term use. Long-term use is defined as 7 days or more. as the current 20% in the policy is felt to be overly generous when considering the services that the city provides at the park.
Okay, so Counselor Santori, did you still want to make that motion?
Yeah, I wanted to make the motion to proceed as recommended. And I was just curious, has Brian Neaton expressed an interest in managing it again this year?
Yes, he has. It's anticipated that BJ, as we call him, will be back for this season. Yeah.
So move as recommended.
Okay, is there someone to second that? Counselor Butler, thank you. Sorry, Counselor Dobie, I didn't know if your hand was up or not there. Did you want to speak to this, Counselor Dobie?
Yes, I just have a question. So we're going to have a new revised City of Trail Council policy?
We currently have a council policy in place and have had a policy in place for many, many years, as long as I've been with the city. That if you stay, if you book into the park for 7 days or more, the rate is reduced by 20%, which gives quite a reduction for those that are coming in. What we have seen over the past years, the past few years, especially COVID years, is we've seen an increase in the amount of long-term stay people that we are seeing. So it is impacting our revenues. We do have a lot of people, we had several people last year that basically lived at the park all summer.
Okay.
So, you know, if you're going to live in your camper, we don't really think that, you know, you should pay the rates that, or at least close to the rates that the other people that are utilizing the park.
So does that mean that we have to change that policy to reflect 10% instead of 20?
That's what
So-
I've asked for, yeah.
Yeah, that was my question. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Counselor Jones, I believe you had your hand up.
I did. Thank you, Mayor Payson. I guess for me, when I'm looking at this policy, I mean, it's quite old. And I certainly wasn't on council when it was developed. And I was wondering about the long-term sites. Back then, what was the reasoning for having the 10 sites? And I mean, you kind of explained it now because of COVID, a lot of people were staying longer in the campsites, but I'm just kind of wondering, because you know, at the government campsites, you can only stay for 2 weeks and then you have to move on. So we're kind of lucky to have this kind of a policy, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't part of the development of the policy at the time. Michelle might have had more information to provide you in this regard, but there is some having people there that stay for a while and not have turnover is felt to be it's easier on our park attendant. There's not as much in and out. We want to make sure that we allow enough sites for the general public that's traveling through our community, and that we're not just a trailer park, I guess, where you would, you know, where you move into in the summer. So there is a limit on how many that we allow. We don't allow the park to go over 50% capacity with long terms, but they do provide some stability at the park in addition to, you know, continual revenue for those sites because the people are in them.
Mm-hmm.
On a long
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
And I
any
think
other
the-
questions on this matter?
Oh, just a point. Oh, I think a lot of quite a few of the permanent sites, usually Tech has their shutdowns between May and September. And a lot of the contractors that are from out of town that are doing work up at Tech during the shutdown utilize that park quite a bit as well. So kind of makes it affordable for them as well.
Okay, any other questions on this?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried, thank you. Item number 3.3, local government elections in 2022, appointments and pay rates. And there's a recommendation before you. And Ms. Lucchini, I'll turn the floor over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. And again, we are also starting to commence preparations for the 2022 general local election that will take place on Saturday, October 15th of this year. At this time, council should appoint the chief election officer and the deputy for the elections and set the pay rates for the election staff. Pardon me?
No, I think it was background from someone.
Okay, sorry, I thought someone asked me a question. It's being recommended for this election that I be appointed as the chief election officer. I've acted in this statutory, in the deputy position for the last several elections. And for succession planning purposes, it's being recommended that I take the leadership role for this election, and that Kim Brooks, who is the city's corporate secretary, act in the deputy role. And it is also being recommended that the pay rates, as noted in the reporting, remain for the most part unchanged from the 2018 election, with a nominal 5% adjustment to the rates. We did do a comparison of like communities just before the 2018 election in terms of the rates being paid for the various positions, and it is not felt that we need to make any changes other than a slight increase to adjust for inflation.
Okay, is there any questions on this matter? And the recommendation is before you. Is there someone to make the recommendation? Councillor Butler? Is there someone to second the recommendation? Councillor Jones, thank you. Any questions on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor? Against,
Aye.
if any? Great, Carrie, thank you. Okay, that's it for this, and we will motion for adjournment. Do I have someone to make that motion? And then we're back at 6 o'clock for the regular meeting.